Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharon Engel, and coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network with a shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California. We are everywhere. We are everywhere. And I just want to welcome my co-host today, Rick Trader.
Well, Sharon, it's great to be with you again. I am a little bit hoarse, so I appreciate you taking the yeoman's handle here on Conservative Commandos today.
Well, I always leave out a few of those wonderful things they call us besides fellow deplorables. Of course,
well, you did a great job.
Found under a rock, you know, all of those things that we have to be grateful for. The Democrats and their media folks seem to be in rare form right now, especially since they've taken over the House of Representatives. You know, I started looking at what's new out there today, and our friend Craig Bannister had an article about our favorite, Ocasio-Cortez, who has some recipes now for cocktails. And you know, she's the Green New Deal. Her cocktail is if you don't do it, a world without the Green New Deal is a bitter, dark, and stormy. That's what you order: a bitter, dark, and stormy. Bridges, no walls, a mezcal greyhound. Paid parental leave, a mocktail margarita, policy failure, anything with gold slugger. So, I mean, it's almost difficult to translate her humor. But anyway, she's out there tweeting.
Well, see, the problem is, Sharon, you don't know when she's being serious. I mean, I keep saying that she, in my opinion, is the gift that keeps on giving. Every time she opens her mouth, I've never seen anybody like her, have you? That every time she opens her mouth, that she creates a controversy. She creates a what did she say moment. Scratch your head.
Well, it's not just her. It seems to be the Democrat women have just gone nuts. The other one. How
about the men? I'd throw the Democrat men in there too.
Well, they just seem to pale by comparison. Here's this freshman colleague of Ocasio-Cortez's, and this is Representative Ilhan Omar. She's a Democrat from Minnesota, and she's the one that dresses in burqa. Anyway, or maybe not just hijab, just the scarf. Hijab.
Right.
But she's been out there doing stunningly anti-Semitic tweets. So these girls can't stay off the Twitter feed. And they've even now aroused their own Democrat colleagues. Representative Max Rose from New York just called her down. He says, when someone uses hateful and offensive tropes and words against people of any faith, I will not be silent. Congressman Omar's statements are deeply hurtful to Jews, including myself. So now she's got the Democrats, they're kind of divided on this. They're kind of infighting over her silliness. And so when she realized that she was making people angry, she says, I thought this was classic. She said she was a victim of smears. She's, you know,
well, that's what these Democrats do. You know, this Lieutenant Governor in Virginia, who everyone, Fairfax, Lieutenant Governor Fairfax of Virginia, now he's calling for an investigation. He wants the FBI to investigate the charges of him raping one woman and forcing another woman to have oral sex with him. Of course, you know, his explanation is, Oh, it was both. It was consensual both times, right? But so now he's calling for an investigation. But you know, Sharon, in a way, I love it when these liberals come out with these extremes, because I want America to see what these people really are. You know, they're showing their true colors. And as Ronald Reagan said, remember Ronald Reagan said, we must show things in bold colors, not pale pastels. Well, the Democrats are showing themselves in bold colors. And I want America to be seeing this. I want America to be seeing these people as they really are.
Well, you're so right, because I have a third woman for you. And that's, of course, one of our favorites, Maxine Waters. And she says to Trump, we're going to get your tax reform returns and we're going to find out. So she does, as the House Financial Services Chairman, have the power to subpoena Trump's tax returns and bank records. That should be scary to any U.S. citizen, because Congress can do that to any one of us. They can subpoena any of our, what we think are confidential records. It's interesting because Rachel Maddow went to this place in 2005. She got Trump's tax return for 2005. And what it really revealed was that several Democrat politicians pay a lower rate than Trump. Trump paid $38 million, or 25% of his 2005 $150 million income in taxes. So I think they're barking up the wrong tree, but that's not all. They're still barking. They have no fewer than 6 committees of the House of Representatives that are investigating potential grounds for impeaching Donald Trump. And they go through these 6 committees. The first one is the House Intelligence Committee, who will investigate whether Trump and his family have been compromised by Russia, Saudi Arabia, and other foreign actors. Now, come on, you know, we've put this Russia thing to bed several times. Financial Affairs, we talked about Maxine Waters, that's her committee, and she's going to see if there was potential money laundering. The judiciary under Gerald Nadler of New York is probing possible violations of campaign laws. And Foreign Affairs under Representative Eliot Engel of New York is probing White House attempts to relax sanctions on Russian oligarchs. Ways and Means under Richard Neal may seek Trump's tax returns, which the president has refused to release. And, of course, Tom Steyer, he's vowed to spend money in next year's Democrat primaries to punish members of Congress, including committed chairs, who don't move as quickly as he'd like on this impeachment. So, that, I mean, they're going nuts there. And I was wondering why Trump hit so hard in the State of the Union address on investigation. Well, now Sharon, we know.
Believe it or not, I welcome these investigations. And I'll tell you why. Again, I want the American people to see these Democrats as do-nothing obstructionists, which they are. They don't give a damn about the American people. They don't give a damn about the country, and all the things that they say that they want. The only thing they want to do is to obstruct and stop this president. And I think the American people are going to see them for what they really are. They have no ideas. They have no plans. The one plan that they have is a lunatic plan, and we're going to be talking with one of our guests today about the Green New Deal and how ridiculous, how unrealistic it is. Let them go. Let them pull these investigations. Sharon, I already think the American people are sick of these investigations. I say in another 2 years, they will be so sick. The Democrats are going to pay for it at the ballot box.
Well, that's why I wanted to just remind people today that these things are going on, because we're not going to hear about this really in the media, because they already understand this is a foolhardy plan. they're saying, wait a second, it backfires. This impeachment stuff, and if you don't get bipartisan support for it, it backfires. And they really don't have any bipartisan support now. It's all Democrats. And it's pretty obvious that their reason for investigation is political. People don't like it when you do things for political purposes. It just stinks, and that's what gives 99% of 1% of the politicians who have integrity a bad name, because the other 99% are pursuing political aspirations, it seems like. And that's the way that the heartland of America really perceives politics. It's a dirty business, and people without integrity are involved in politics. So that's what we do here on Conservative Commandos radio show, is just expose this stuff and keep reminding you will not see this as an outright plan in the media, but it's there. They're doing it. That's why Trump has spoken so loudly in his State of the Union address against socialism, because it is a socialist agenda, and against this idea of using our taxpayer dollars in Congress not to make America great again or make America better, but just to investigate for impeachment. It's a completely political maneuver. And we need to go to a break now, Rick.
Before you go, Sharon,
okay.
Before you take us to the break, let me just add, and I think this was proven when the Republicans impeached Bill Clinton. That was very unpopular with the American people. And you would think the Democrats would have learned that lesson. They didn't. Let them go. Let them impeach the president. It's going to backfire on them big time.
Well, you're right. We haven't really learned much from history because we don't look at history. But we're going to go to a break now. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. We'll be right back with a look at who's going to be on our show today, and also a bit more commentary. I'm Sharon Engel, and my co-host today is Rick Trader.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans. I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share.
It's freedom from insurance.
At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down.
We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America, where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for staying through that break with us. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos radio studios, and we're going to shout out again to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California. We are everywhere, and including being on, of course, Al Gore's internet. We're there too. Rick, we have some great guests lined up for today, and I'd kind of like to go through and introduce them. Our first guest is Timothy Snowball, who is an attorney at Pacific Legal Foundation Sacramento office. He practices involve free speech, equal protection, administrative law, economic liberty, and property rights. And we've had Pacific Legal on with us several times to talk about certain things that are going on. But mostly it's California, and he's going to talk about California, the land of 1,000 laws, and that's just this year. Well, you know, we're in our legislative session right now, and we're watching those California laws being introduced here in our Nevada legislature. So stand by. If in a state near you, those same laws could be introduced in your legislature. They're using that petri dish again of California. California is just where they try this stuff out. If it flies in California, you can expect it in your state. We're going into a hearing tomorrow. This is an interesting hearing. It is agendized as a hearing to discuss firearm control and registration. There's no bills, but they're going to talk about maybe having some bills there. And the NRA-ILA has put out an alert saying, get in there and testify if you care anything about your Second Amendment rights. Here the Democrats come, because they have some bill draft requests right now about firearms, but it's just pertaining to. Always says just pertaining to, so we don't know exactly what's in there. But I think that this hearing tomorrow, we're going to get to hear a boatload of things that we really are not going to be very happy with here in Nevada. And of course, this whole gun control thing is a nationwide Democrat push. They say they're for the Constitution, but they're really not, Rick.
Sharon, this is why I say you can never compromise with Democrats. You can never compromise with liberals. Conservatives and liberals see compromise totally differently. Conservatives see compromise as, well, we give a little, we take a little, and then it's settled. Liberals, Democrats see compromise, well, that's just the first step. That's just the first step to lead us to our destination. Their destination is total gun confiscation. I truly believe that. So we opened the door by letting them have a little bit of gun control, and then they take a little more, and then they take a little more. For instance, in New Jersey, the idiot governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, wants to regulate rifles that they can hold no more than 5 rounds. 5 rounds. And that's not what they want, Sharon. They want the total confiscation of everybody's firearm. They're not going to settle until they get that. That to them is the compromise that they want. Sharon, we got another great guest joining us.
Yes, we do. We're going to have Myron Ebell, who is the director of the Center for Energy and Environment at the Cooperative Enterprise Institute. Myron Ebell also chairs the Cooler Heads Coalition, which comprises representatives for more than 24 nonprofit organizations based in the United States and abroad that challenge global warming, alarmism, and oppose energy rationing policies. So here we get to talk about the Green New Deal, launched with support from the Democrat presidential candidates. So here we go. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Edward Markey, who's from Massachusetts. Of course, Ocasio-Cortez is from New York. And they held this press conference outside the Capitol on the 7th of February to introduce their House and Senate resolutions for a Green New Deal. So here we go. They're gonna go ahead and introduce it. We've been talking about it for weeks, and you would think that with all that's gone on in the media, and we've had several guests come on and talk about their warnings against this and what would be the cost and the ultimate problems with it. We've even considered what's gone on in Europe and how they nearly have revolt in the street over energy costs and the Macron policies that have driven their energy policy right into the ground there and their economy right along with it. So, we've been talking about this, like I said, for weeks here on Conservative Commandos, but they're not listening. They don't listen to anything but their own agenda, and they're ready to go. And now we've got presidential hopefuls on their side that are going to be signing on: Senator Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Kristen Gillibrand, Jeff Merkley, and Bernie Sanders are among those hopefuls. So,
Byron, there's another common denominator of all those people you mentioned. They are declared candidates for the Democrat nomination for president. And Sharon,
that's right.
With this Green New Deal that we'll be talking with Myron Ebell with, the devil is in the details. And once again, we were here to expose those details about this Green New Deal to the American people. When they find out what's in this thing, they're gonna not like it at all. But yeah. Hey, Sharon, I wanted to mention, and I'm not going to talk a lot today because I sound horrible, but there is something that I wanted to say. Sunday morning, I did something very rare. I got up early. You know me, Sharon. I'm up till 2 and 3 in the morning, and I get up about 10:30. But Sunday morning, I did get up early, and I watched C-SPAN. And C-SPAN had a show about this new voter bill, H.R. 1, that the Democrats are trying to push through the House of Representatives. And H.R. 1 is a bill that's going to change elections forever in our country. Well, our friend Hans von Spakovsky was a guest on that show, along with a woman from Common Cause. And I encourage all our listeners and our watchers to Google it. C-SPAN, Hans von Spakovsky, Common Core. You'll be able to find this show. You've got to watch it because it's also scary what the liberals, what the Democrats want to do to our elections.
Well, perhaps we can get Hans to come on Conservative Commandos and just go through that a little bit with us too, because we know that Hans has had his finger on election integrity or lack thereof for a long time. And he's one of our favorites here at Conservative Commandos. When we ask guests to be on the show, we always look to Hans von Spakovsky because he really gets the facts for us.
Indeed he does. Indeed he does.
Well, we're up against the break again. And we're going to be...
Time flies like our good friend Anna Little used to always say, time flies when we're having fun.
That's right. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios. And if you'd like to hear a rebroadcast of today's show, please check out our websites, www.ccrsnetwork.com and www.ccrshow.com. Also, please like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We'll be right back with our first guest from Pacific Legal Institute. We have, of course, Timothy Snowball coming in to talk about the 1,000 laws in the land of California just this year. We'll be right back with Rick Trader, and I'm Sharon Engel.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be. We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Welcome back, fellow patriots, fellow deplorables, those that some find under a rock. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos radio show, and we'd like to give a shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder in Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California. We're everywhere. And we have our first guest, Rick, with us, and I'd like to introduce to everyone Timothy Snowball, who is an attorney at Pacific Legal Foundation Sacramento office. He practices cases that include free speech, equal protection, administrative law, economic liberty, and property rights. Tim, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I take cases in all those inconvenient areas of the Bill of Rights that are so many roadblocks up to government action. So thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we're very grateful to have Pacific Legal Foundation here on the West Coast just watching out for our Constitution because, as you point out in an article that you wrote, Sacramento, California now seems to be the petri dish for a lot of legal action or bills, legislation that's coming to America and often to a state near you. In fact, Nevada seems to be one of the favorite places for California laws to migrate. So I'm not sure that would be called legal immigration or not, but we're sure getting it. You say that
unfortunately, you can't build a wall to stop the bad ideas from floating across the border from California into other states. But it's a fair point that you make. I mean, just in the last legislative session in 2018, you had over 1,000 laws, enacted by the California legislature. Now, I remember when I first saw that number, I thought, oh well. I thought they were talking about the entire civil code or something. I said, 1,000 laws. I mean, it's the state's been around a while. But, you look at it and you realize that's just in one single legislative session. And then, being an attorney and kind of a legal nerd, I go back and I do a little research, right? And I realized that since 2005, well, let me ask you all this. Since 2005, how many new laws do you think the California legislature has put on the books here in the state? Just take a wild guess.
Since 2005?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I know how many we get introduced every year, and in Nevada every 2 years we do 1,000 bills. Oh gosh, I don't know.
So I'll throw it out. Yeah, it's either way. It's going to be obscenely large. So you've had something akin to 26,000 new laws go on the books in California just since 2005. And I always think, I'm a big history buff, right? I'd like to think of myself as one. And so I think back to James Madison, a portion that he wrote in the Federalist Papers where he says something along the lines of, what will it credit a man if all of the laws are made by his representatives, but they're so voluminous and so complicated that he can't remember what he's doing from day to day, whether that's illegal or illegal. And so I think that's the state of things, unfortunately, here in my home state.
Well, Mark Twain, who lived in Virginia City for a while and had the Territorial Enterprise paper, wrote that when the legislature's in session, the people suffer, and I think that's true. You say that in 2018 there were 1,016 laws that will take effect this year.
Right.
1,016.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about it, you look like, okay, there are going to be situations, for better or worse, that the government probably has an actual stake in getting involved in. So you think of large public health and safety issues where there's actually a clear and present danger. The government should get involved and regulate or legislate in a given area. But that's not what we're talking about here in California. So I'll give you an example. So going forward now in 2018, all children are going to be required to wear helmets, whether they're biking or skateboarding or skating down the street or anything that, you know what I mean? I mean, when I was a kid, my mom used to say, I'd say, Mom, see you later. I'm going to go to play with my friends or whatever during the summer. And she'd say, okay, come back before it gets dark. And now kids can't even, play in their own driveway with skateboards without the state stepping in and legislating and saying, oh, well, your kids have to be wearing helmets, at all times. I mean, how long is it going to be until we just wrap kids in bubble wrap and, stick them on the couch with their laptop? Are kids even allowed to go outside anymore? So I think that's just one example of, the state really stepping in, as it all too often does, and fixing problems that it doesn't really need to fix. These aren't really problems.
If it's not broken, don't fix it, really.
Right. It's another example is this plastic straw ban from, that got a lot of media attention when it was first proposed last year. So you go into a sit-down restaurant here in California now and order a Diet Coke, and they're not going to give you a plastic straw anymore. I mean, you can ask for one. So, on the one hand, it would make sense if they were just going to outright ban the plastic straws, but all they're legislating is saying is that they can't offer you a plastic straw anymore. So, like so many pieces of legislation, this has less to do with actually effectuating a public policy and more to do with like virtue signaling. Like everybody these days just wants to one up somebody on social media or feel like they're, telling everybody how great they are. And unfortunately, I think we have quite a few of those in the California legislature.
Well, it seems in your article, you said that in most cases, these laws range from unnecessary to silly to sad. Talk about some of the unnecessary ones. So, you've kind of given us a little bit of an idea, but
sure. So there's another one that's particularly unnecessary, I think, which is another restaurant law. Actually, you go into a restaurant now, and restaurants will no longer be able to list any drinks on kids' menus that aren't water or milk, right? And it's the same kind of thing as the straw ban. You can still order your kid a Shirley Temple or a fruit juice or whatever else you want to get them. They're just not going to list it on the menu anymore. And so it makes me think, again, what exactly are they trying to accomplish with this law? I mean, I don't know about you all, but kids that I go out to dinner with and stuff, these kids aren't reading their own menus. I mean, it's still the parents that are tasked with ordering the stuff for their kids. And so it makes me again wonder exactly what they're trying to accomplish with this kind of thing, besides just saying, here we are, we're California and we're ahead of the curve here and everyone should kind of follow along.
Well, and it just smacks so much of socialism where the government tells you how to live. That's this cradle to the grave. And I think you point that out, too, that there's a cradle to the grave mentality within the California legislature. So tell us, we talked about some silly ones. Talk about a sad law.
Well, I think the classic example, of course, is always the minimum wage. You know what I mean? I was a high school dropout, actually. And after I dropped out of high school, I worked in restaurants for about 10 years. I was a waiter. I was a bartender before I went back to college and wound up in law school. Now I'm an attorney, right? But at the time, I was out there, schlepping plates and doing, this kind of menial job. And so I understand when people say kind of arbitrarily, I want to make more money. I should make more money. I'm making $10 an hour. I want to make $12 an hour. And I think when you look at it on the surface, the intention of policies like the minimum wage seem good. Well, people should have a little bit more money in their pocket. That's great. But what you really miss, I think, is the actual effect. Milton Friedman talked about this a lot. Looking at the actual effect of policies versus the stated intentions of the politicians who are proposing them, right? So a politician could come out and say, we should have a $15 minimum wage or a $20 minimum wage. And that sounds great in terms of being a campaign trail promise. But the actual effect of raising minimum wage laws is just like any other labor, any other cost. the cost of labor for a business is something they have to take into account when they're looking at their bottom line. And what winds up happening is the most vulnerable people, the people who could benefit the most from having kind of a more, lower minimum wage, would be to get into the job market, right? So we're talking about recent high school graduates, high school dropouts, people who never went to college, the disadvantaged, right? These are the people who are priced out of the labor market because of a $15 or $20 minimum wage. And what winds up happening, I mean, go to any local fast food restaurant and, over half of them now have these kiosks where you go in and you enter in your order and they bring your order up. They're eliminating jobs to offset the cost of this raise in minimum wage. And so, again, this is something that you've seen California do time and time again. And my hope is that through public education, I'm a big proponent of going out and speaking to people about these kinds of issues. People will start to understand that the people here in Sacramento, the politicians, aren't necessarily your friends, and they might not necessarily have your best interests in mind. Believe it or not, I know it's
believe it shocking. Or not. But you did say there were a few bright spots. So we'll talk about now some of the things that they did that actually might be good.
Yeah, sure. So you had a couple of bills, actually. I don't know. Somehow they must have snuck through. I don't know who how these got through, but you had a couple of bills get through in this legislative session that have to do with what I like to call food freedom, which are small entrepreneurs who provide like food items. Like there was a incident at UC Berkeley. I'm a Berkeley alum, right? So I pay attention to a lot of what's going on campus there, for better or worse. There was an incident earlier in 2017 where there was a gentleman out there that was selling hot dogs. And the cops had come by and said, do you have a license to sell those hot dogs? And the guy, didn't know what they were talking about. He was just out there trying to sell hot dogs. They wound up taking his cart away, confiscating all of his money under civil asset forfeiture. And it just really goes to show kind of the harmful effect, because most people I know who are these small-time entrepreneurs, that's the reason why people want to come to the United States, is to have a better life for themselves and for their families. And the fact that the government gets in the way of people being able to do that, I think is really counterintuitive. So you had two laws go onto the books here in California this session. One legalized home kitchens for non-perishable items, and the other legalized, and it's going to be licensing sidewalk vendors like Juan in Berkeley. And so both of those, I think, are steps in the right direction in terms of empowering individuals to improve their own lives, but also now, having some minimal standards to ensure safety in the preparation and the sale of those items.
Well, we need to go to a short break. We really appreciate your time with us here. Can you stay with us through that break?
Absolutely. Happy to.
Thank you. We've been talking with Timothy Snowball, an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation Sacramento office, about his article, California, Land of 1,000 Laws. And that's just this year. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on TV in Northern California on the AUN TV network. We'll be right back with our guest, Timothy Snowball. I'm Sharon Engel, and my co-host is Rick Trader.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
Together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Welcome back. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharon Engel, and I'm here with my co-host, Rick Trader. And Rick, our guest is still with us. Would you please take over the conversation?
Be very glad to. And again, our guest is Timothy Snowball. Tim, thank you for staying through that break. We appreciate your time. Your article, California and the 1,000 laws, and that's just this year. You know, right. Tim, you know, things like this make my head hurt, and I'll tell you why it makes my head hurt. Bad ideas. And right. Bad ideas, once they get traction, once they get out in the public, everybody thinks that that bad idea is now their new great idea. Now, I'll right. tell you where I'm getting at. The idiot governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, has said that he wants to make New Jersey just like California. So within the last year, and again, Sharon and I were talking about this earlier, how fast our society, our government, our way of life can change. Mm-hmm. In the 1 year that Phil Murphy has been in office, followed by 8 years of a Republican, Chris Christie, we got things like sanctuary cities. Mm-hmm. We got things like $15 minimum wage. We get things like let's ban plastic straws. Does that sound, Tim Snowball, does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, you know, and I think that there are really two mechanisms by which you explain the effect you're talking about, right? One of them is a failure of public education. You know what I mean? When I was back in high school, it's a good chunk of time now, but it wasn't too long ago. Mm-hmm. You know, we still had civics class. You know what I mean? And yeah, they tacked it on to our senior year as kind of this elective, and we still had basic economics, right? But I remember, like I said, you know, going back to when I went back to college, I had been a high school dropout, and then I wound up going back to college in my mid-20s. And I wound up, you know, transferring after community college into UC Berkeley. And I remember I was about 27 years old as a junior at UC Berkeley. And some of the kids that I had classes with didn't appear to have even the most basic understanding of the principles upon which the country was founded. And it's astounding to me now, even when I go out and I do lectures or I do, you know, interviews like this one, that you know, how can we expect the next generations to defend the Republic if they're not even armed with the facts and the knowledge of where our country came from and why the country was founded? So I think a failure of public education is number one. Number two is really it's a ratchet effect. right? And it's small. Madison talks about the fact that, most government tyrannies don't rise through sudden revolutions. They rise through small incremental moves in that direction. And you see things continually be ratcheted up over a period of time, even if it's a short period of time, like a year or 5 years. And you wind up looking back and going, my God, look how far we've gone in this period of time. And I didn't even know any of this stuff was happening. And you wind up being almost desensitized to it. I'll give you an example. I have a federal case out here in California, in the Eastern District of California, having to do with falconry. I don't know if you all are aware of the ancient art of falconry. These guys have trained birds. They hunt with them and they take them out. And this is a sport going back thousands of years. This is a passionate community. So in California, like every other state, you have to have a license, permission from the government in order to practice falconry, right? So the California government has stepped in and said, we'll give you a falconry license, but as a condition of being a falconer, you have to waive your Fourth Amendment rights to be free from warrantless searches of your falconry facilities, which actually wind up being your home. So what we're talking about in practice are armed government agents showing up at any time of the day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, showing up on your doorstep, armed with Kevlar vests, demanding entry to your home and telling you, if you don't let us into your home, we can take your birds away. We can arrest you. We can charge you with a crime. We can take your license away. And for these falconers, their practice of their sport is like their entire life. And I think back, we live in the United States. This isn't...
Tim, thank God the Pacific Legal Foundation is there to defend these things. And another point I wanted to talk with you about, helmets. All right, kids' helmets. I personally think it's a good idea. Right. But how do you enforce all these stupid laws? Like you talked about Juan, the hot dog vendor. It just seems to me that in a sense, this is putting an undue burden on government to enforce all these laws. And what is supposed to happen? Neighbors ratting out their neighbors because their neighbor's kid is skateboarding without a helmet. Could you talk about, you got a law. Remember Jackson, Andrew Jackson said one time, he says, all right, now that the Supreme Court has made this law, let them enforce it. How do you enforce laws like this? This is crazy.
I absolutely agree with you. You know what I mean? I personally, I'm not married. I don't have any children. But if I had children, I'd probably tell my children that they need to wear helmets. Then again, that would be a decision for me and my spouse in the context of our family. And, you look back at the United States, these decisions are meant to be made by individuals and families and communities. Civil society is a different thing than government, right? Yeah. But your point as to enforcement is absolutely true. How are they going to enforce this? Are we going to have local patrolmen, who are gone on their regular beat instead of looking for, murderers or thieves or all of these things that actually have an impact upon society? Are they going to be policing children's helmets, much like local bureaucrats police whether a kid can set up a lemonade stand? Is a child who's trying to make $10 to go buy a comic book by selling 50-cent cups of lemonade now a matter of community interest? You know what I mean? It's just gone way too far. And you're absolutely right. I'm very blessed and lucky to be able to do the job that I do, out of law school. And I couldn't be happier than to be part of Pacific Legal Foundation. And that's all we do all day. This isn't something we pick up on the side. This is our job is to bring civil rights lawsuits on behalf of Americans.
Wanted to go somewhere else. You see what I'm holding up in front of you? This.
How dare you? How dare you?
I go through like this is iced tea. And I go through usually about 2 of these a show, and I have a straw. Now, there's a reason that I have that straw. I have something called essential tremor, which means my hands shake, which means if I didn't have it in the sippy cup with a straw, I would have iced tea all over this desk. What about people who go in restaurants like myself who want to have a straw? Maybe they have Parkinson's. Maybe they have essential tremor. Maybe they prefer rather if they're going to drink water to drink through a straw. Did you ever go into a restaurant and get a glass sometime and see lipstick from the last person on it?
Like I said, I spent a long time working in restaurants, and I won't mention any particular establishments, but I will say that it gets a little hectic back there in the dish area sometimes, and I would recommend everyone to get a plastic straw. I mean, I was the kind of kid who would be sitting in class, and the teacher would say, don't do X.
Well, what about people like me, Tim? Am I being a bad guy? Am I being okay, I'm an environmental criminal because I use a straw. And by the way, I use a straw over and over and over again. I seriously do. I'm a conservative. But it seems like now government is infringing upon my life to the point where you can't walk out your door without breaking a law.
But aren't you concerned with the sea turtles? Don't the sea turtles, do the sea turtles come into play at all when
I'll tell you yes, I do I am very concerned about sea turtles, but I'm also very concerned about unborn babies. And when they talk to me about the sea turtles, I talk to them about the unborn babies. Hey, Tim, we got to run to get our next guest on, but please tell our audience how to read your article and how to find out more about the Pacific Legal Foundation.
Yes, so we're all over social media. You can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, Pacific Legal Foundation, also our website, pacificlegal.org. Go on there. We've got lots of case updates and different articles we put out. It's constant content, so it's a really good way to keep up with what we're doing. And you can go onto our staff page, onto the page for me, Tim Snowball, and I've got all kinds of blog posts and different stuff on there having to do with the topics we discussed today.
Tim Snowball, Pacific Legal Foundation. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, anytime. I'm happy to.
Let me just get the recordings going on this end. Where's my cursor? There it is.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Sharon Engel with my co-host Rick Trader, and I want to give a shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California. We're everywhere, including Al Gore's amazing internet. And we have our next guest with us today, Rick, and I'd like to introduce him. His name is Myron Ebell. He's the director of the Center for Energy and Environment at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Myron Ebell also chairs the Cooler Heads Coalition, which comprises representatives from more than a dozen nonprofit organizations based in the United States and abroad that challenge global warming alarmism and oppose energy rationing policies. Myron, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks for having me, Sharon.
Well, it's always our pleasure, Myron. And of course, this new Green Deal has become one of our more favorite topics here on Conservative Commandos because it seems like it's just a gift that keeps on giving. You've written an article, Green New Deal launched with support from Democratic presidential candidates. So everybody's buying into this, even though we've heard some really horrible things that this is not going to be good for us in the long run.
Well, Sharon, that's absolutely true. If you believe that Venezuela has been a tremendous success, then you ought to look forward to the consequences of the Green New Deal, which say we really have to get rid of 80% of our sources of energy, namely coal, oil, and natural gas, within 10 years, and replace it with wind power, solar power, and squirrels running in wheels. And, put in some fairy dust and wave a magic wand and it will all work out fine. And that includes not just our electricity that they want to completely change within 10 years. It's the way we get around. The internal combustion engine needs to be stopped right now. And some people will be lucky enough to have electric cars, but most of us will have to be happy with the vastly expanded opportunities for mass transit and high-speed trains. So,
Well, it's not. It's not just about clean energy, though. It seems like they're not interested in clean energy that's also affordable energy, like nuclear. I never hear them mention nuclear. In fact, they're trying to close down all those nuclear power plants and go chiefly to solar and wind, which we know are really inconsistent sources of energy.
Well, that's right, Sharon. In the way they introduced the resolution last week, they kind of tried to finesse the issue of whether nuclear power might be included in this green leap backwards that they're planning. And I think the reason is because, well, first of all, they're not totally crazy. They understand that you can't get 100% of your electricity, especially if you're trying to run all the cars on electric batteries. You can't get 100% of it from wind and solar, which are intermittent and variable. And maybe you'll have to build a whole bunch of new nuclear power stations. I think but the other thing is, I think they're seeing if they can line up the support of the nuclear industry, which, as you know, is under tremendous threat. And a lot of nuclear plants are being closed down. I think they're trying to see, well, if the nuclear industry will come out and support this in a big way, maybe we'll give them a little bit of the gravy.
Well, here in Nevada, we have a particularly unique nuclear site, which we'd like to develop, many of us here in Nevada. Our politicians are not necessarily always in favor of that, since Harry Reid made everybody in Las Vegas believe that they're going to glow in the dark. But we here in Nevada have this test site. It's completely secure, and it's a great place to do some recycling, do some technology studies, and really we just are thinking, why not? Why not have something at least that would support the whole Southwest grid right here from Nevada? So we're pretty high on nuclear energy, many of us here in Nevada. And as you say, it's a cheap source of really reliable energy, and yet they seem to have wanted to kill this industry off. And now you're saying, well, maybe they'll bring it back kind of incrementally just to suit their purpose here.
Yes. I think when you talk about renewable energy and then you look at the available sources, you've got hydroelectric power, which produces a significant amount of the electricity in this country, most of it in the Northwest, but you also have some in the Southeast. And then you look at wind and solar. How many hundreds of thousands of windmills will have to be built? How many millions of solar panels will have to be fabricated? And then how are you going to deploy these things? We have, as you know, it's not only hard to get a new nuclear plant going, it's very difficult to permit a new wind farm. The Cape Wind Farm off of Cape Cod has been around for 15 years now, maybe, and they still don't have it permitted. And so the idea that we can turn the entire energy economy upside down by building hundreds of thousands of windmills and millions of solar panels doesn't seem to take into account our environmental permitting system, which takes not just years, it often takes decades for one single project. So how are we going to build several thousand projects in 10 years? Well, of course, we're not unless we suspend our environmental permitting, we suspend the Endangered Species Act, we stop worrying about all the birds and bats that are killed by windmills. And it's a huge number now, but wait till we increase the number of windmills by about 50 or 100 times. So we're talking about changing, real environmental degradation here, because it will take hundreds of thousands of square miles of land to have all these things. You can't just have all the windmills bunched in one place. They have to be spread out where the wind is. So this is, it's ambitious. You got to give them credit for that.
Well, I always have to laugh because Harry Reid displaced a bunch of desert tortoises to get a solar panel farm going here in Nevada, and that seems to be okay as long as the the end justifies the means. As long as you get to this place, you can kind of ignore some of these other things that seem to be their great environmental policy. You know, why are we protecting birds if you're just going to slaughter them with windmills? Why are we protecting tortoises if we're just going to take their habitat away with solar farms? So there seems to be an inconsistency here in thought. Just on that side, they don't seem to be able to at least I can't reconcile the two things together. How did they do it?
Well, Sharon, I know you and Rick are not cynical, but if you were cynical, you might suspect a little bit of hypocrisy here. That, you know, if a couple of birds die because of the oil industry, somebody can go to jail. But if a wind farm kills thousands of birds and bats, it's okay. There might be a little bit of hypocrisy here.
Well, I think that you've nailed me and Rick. We really are fairly cynical, and we do believe they're hypocrites on that side. So I confess I'm guilty here. We have to go to a short break, and we want you to wait through that break with us. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch us on television at the AUN TV network in Northern California. We'll be right back with our guest, Myron Ebell, who's the director of the Center for Energy and Environment, and he's been talking about his article, Green New Deal Launched with Support of Democrat Presidential Candidates. My co-host, Rick Trader, will be back on the other side to talk about those presidential candidates, so don't go away. I'm Sharon Engel.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why? Well, why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
allegations of voter fraud. The claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right it's too brutal.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Welcome back, fellow patriots. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. Thank you for staying through that short break with us. I'm Sharon Engel, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network with a shout out to our listeners in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Nevada, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, Colorado. We're everywhere, even on the internet. And Rick Trader, our guest, has been waiting through the break with us. Would you please welcome him back and continue the conversation?
Yes, our guest this segment is Myron Ebell. He's the director for the Center of Energy and Environment at the Competitive Enterprise Institute. Myron, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rick.
Myron, we're discussing your article, Green New Deal launched with the support from Democrat presidential candidates. What scares me, there's something that scares me about this, Myron. There's something that makes me laugh about it. What scares me about it is the bad of a bad idea is when that bad idea gets spread around and people think of it as the truth or as the gospel. In your article, you talk about there are 6 Democrat presidential candidates who want to make this Green New Deal their own. So part of me says, yes, let the American people see how ridiculous this idea is. But at the same time, as I said, the bad about a bad idea is everybody wants to make it their own because they think they can make it popular. So, Myron, I'm scared of this because the same thing with Obamacare. When the Obamacare thing was floated, everyone says, I like my doctor, I like my hospital, I want to keep them. Now we find out we can't. But that idea of Obamacare started many, many years ago and it was just floated up like a balloon. Like I think people see this as being floated as a balloon. They say it's impractical. It can never happen. They said the same thing about things like Obamacare. That's scary to me.
Well, I think you're right. I think Senator Lindsey Graham of Florida, Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, a Republican, had a very good idea after the Green New Deal was introduced last week. He said, let's have a vote on it, and let's put everybody on record whether they really believe in this or not. Now, we have 6 Democratic presidential candidates who are the initial co-sponsors of this resolution, and I expect there will be more Democratic presidential candidates as we go forward here who will also sign on to it. And so it would be good to know who's in favor of this, so we can take their names and keep that in mind. I think right now, as you said, it's a long-term threat, but the immediate threat is that it moves the climate debate to the left, the climate policy debate, and it opens up some space in the middle for stupid Republicans and big business to come forward and say, well, you know, you can't beat something with nothing, and so we're going to have something. And what we've got right here for you is a tax on energy, a carbon tax or a carbon dioxide tax. And so that's the reasonable alternative to all of this Green New Deal stuff. And I think you're going to see that. I think you're already seeing it with some people coming forward and saying, well, you know, we have to do something, so let's tax American consumers and raise their energy prices. That ought to be a good idea, right?
But Myron, if you could help save my voice a little bit by giving our audience some of the devil in the details of this Green New Deal.
Yes. Well, first of all, it will cost an unbelievable amount of money. Not billions of dollars or hundreds of billions, but trillions of dollars. We don't know how many trillions, but that doesn't really matter because the people who thought all this up say we can just print the money and everything will work out okay, just like it has in Venezuela and Argentina. So we have to get rid of coal, oil, and natural gas within 10 years, and that currently provides about 80% of our energy in this country and about 80% globally. So what do we have to do? We have to replace all of our coal and natural gas-fired power plants with windmills and solar panels and things that haven't been invented yet, fairy dust, I don't know. And we have to get rid of all of our cars and replace them either with electric cars or get used to the idea of having of relying entirely on mass transit, and we're going to build high-speed rails everywhere. So, you know, in California they've got one from Fresno to Bakersfield that's going to cost the initial cost, it keeps going up, is $60-some billion, and that's the bullet train from nowhere to nowhere. I mean, it's not that Fresno and Bakersfield are nowhere. It's that not very many people live there compared to Los Angeles and San Francisco. But of course, building the train from on to San Francisco and on to Los Angeles will cost a whole lot more than this section out where relatively few people live. So we're talking really, the sky's the limit here in terms of the cost. It's completely impossible. It's nutty. It's crazy. But there are people who think that they're going to promote their agenda by promoting the Green New Deal, because if you look at it, it's not just about turning our energy economy upside down. It's about ending income inequality.
Myron, can I stop you for a minute?
Yes.
Because I want to go a very similar direction.
Yeah.
They're calling first of all, prior to the Second World War, the poverty rate in America was about 35%. Mm-hmm. After the Second World War, about 5 years after, the poverty rate was about 17%. A lot of people look back and they try to revise history by saying, well, thank you, the New Deal. I happen to think, and I happen to believe in reading your article, you also believe it wasn't the New Deal that ended the Great Depression. It wasn't the New Deal that lowered the poverty rate in half, but it was actually the Second World War. Can you talk about that in addition to income inequality?
Yes, well, the Green New Deal is named after the New Deal, which was a bunch of ad hoc programs that President Franklin Roosevelt sort of tried one after the other to try to do something about the massive unemployment. But it wasn't really until the Second World War and the government, through command and control policies, mobilized the entire economy for the war effort. And so the the gross domestic product, our wealth creation each year, went up tremendously during the Second World War, but most of it was siphoned off for the military, for the war effort. And so something like over 40% of our GDP went to the war effort. And people forget the sacrifices that Americans made, not just the men and women in the military and the ones who lost their lives, but the people at home. We had gasoline rationing, tire rationing. We had all kinds of food rationing: meat, chicken, butter, oil, lard, eggs. All these things were rationed. Sugar was rationed for several years, and people got coupons. That was the kind of effort that was needed to win the Second World War. So the people behind the Green New Deal are saying, well, let's just do that again. Well, how many people want to get a coupon for, a piece of meat each week, or 5 gallons of gasoline? Well, oh, no, sorry. We won't have that because gasoline's now prohibited. Yeah, so that's okay. We won't have gasoline coupons. But so, this is, and at the same time, we're going to reduce income inequality according to the Green New Deal, achieve social and racial.
Well, I believe that's the point I believe in. I think it will lead to social equality to everybody, because everybody's going to be broke.
Poor. Everybody's going to be poor.
So there you got your income equality when everybody's broke. Of course, the elites, they're going to take care of themselves. Like Maduro is probably the richest guy in Venezuela right now. He and his friends are well taken care of. Everybody else has nothing. So I would call that income equality, wouldn't you?
Yes, and one of the things that is foreseen in the Green New Deal, although they've kind of played it down in the resolution that was introduced in Congress, was getting rid of airplanes. And but interestingly enough, Representative Ocasio-Cortez, the main promoter of the Green New Deal, was asked in January whether getting rid of airplanes meant getting rid of private jets, that is, the jets that wealthy people use, not the commercial flights.
I'm sure Al Gore's going to have a whole fleet, a whole wing.
She gave a one-word answer to the reporter and then walked away, and the answer was no. She doesn't. The Green New Deal does not foresee banning or prohibiting private jets, just commercial air travel.
Incredible. Myron Ebell, Competitive Enterprise Institute, want to thank you so much for joining us. I want to apologize for my voice, but I'm sure our audience would much rather hear you than hear me. So please tell our audience how they could follow your work, read your articles, and find out more about the Competitive Enterprise Institute.
Well, Rick and Sharon, thanks for having me. CEI, of course, has a website, and it's really easy, cei.org, and you will find out lots of stuff about all of the regulatory policies and agenda, and what we're doing to try to reduce regulation, not create more, not just on climate and energy, but across the board to increase freedom and decrease the reach of government in people's lives.
Myron Ebell, again, thank you so much for joining us. Take care. God bless. We'll talk to you next time. Probably see you at CPAC, right?
Maybe. I hope so.
Maybe.
Thank you,
right. Bye-bye. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharon Angle. Yes, that's Sharon Angle, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. Sharon and I will be back with more right after this break.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The secret war is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1 and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
It was down to health care or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share. It's freedom from insurance. At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down. We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty Health Share.
This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Well, Sharon Engel, that just about wraps it up for today. I want to thank you, and I so enjoy doing Conservative Commandos with you, and I thoroughly enjoy the guests that join us. They are my teacher. I am their student. I learned so much from our guests. But Sharon, please tell our audience how they could follow you and what you do when you're not here on Conservative Commandos.
Well, my website is SharonEngel.com, SharonEngel.com. And if they're interested in the documentary Not on My Watch, that is available at GetTrilogy.com. GetTrilogy.com, GetTrilogy.com. You know, Rick, I'd like to thank our guests today. We had Timothy Snowball, who's an attorney attorney in Pacific Legal Foundation Sacramento office, and he talked to us about California, the land of 1,000 laws, and that's just this year. And our second guest, Myron Ebell, who is the director of the Center for Energy and Environment at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, and he talked to us about the Green New Deal that has been launched with support from Democratic presidential candidates. Both of these guests are great, and we just really are appreciative of their time.
All right. But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect.
How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why? Well, why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right it's too brutal.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
There's only 4 days left until the next possible government shutdown. Will the Democrats give Trump his border wall? Will they compromise? Or will we be going through government shutdown 2.0? Also, 2 more Democrats have announced for president. We'll look into that. Plus, we'll look at the fallout from the Green New Deal. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
All right, so the big news is the upcoming shutdown. Possibly. We don't know. But it's only 4 days away, February 15th. And we're going to get into that. We're going to go through the negotiations, see where things stand, and see what Trump's options are. But first, we want to look at a couple of presidential announcements. Elizabeth Warren announced this weekend, and you guys remember her, the one who just recently had to apologize because in the 1980s, for her state bar application or registration in Texas, she listed American Indian as her heritage and then apologized because it wasn't. So this is the candidate that now wants us to vote for her for President of the United States. And here's a clip from her announcement.
Year after year, the path to economic security had gotten tougher and rockier for working families, and even tougher and even rockier for people of color.
All right, so think about that. Think about what she just said, and let's look at the facts. Black unemployment is at historic lows. Hispanic unemployment is at historic lows. Blue-collar wages are up, and the median household income is up $6,000 over the last 2 years. That's the reality of the state of America economically, and it's quite different from the picture she's trying to paint in her announcement and in other statements she's made. But she goes on. Here's a follow-up to that clip, which I just found very stunning. Take a look.
This wasn't an accident. It wasn't inevitable. No. Over the years, America's middle class has been deliberately hollowed out, and families of color have been systematically discriminated against and denied their chance to build some security.
Okay, she's talking about systematically discriminating. And I can't help but think about Barack Obama, who, in my opinion, was the worst president as far as race relations is concerned that I've ever seen. Race relations when I was a kid, when I was going to high school and junior high in the 1980s, the relations were better than they are now. And Elizabeth Warren seems to just keep following up on what Obama did to drive people against each other because of race by spreading a completely false scenario, a false paradigm. It's easier to get a job if you're a minority. It's easier to get into college if you're a minority. Back when I used to work in the space program as a government contractor, I remember my manager having to go through hiring, and I was helping him look through various resumes, and they had a book, a hiring guidelines book, and for job after job after job, it said, strongly consider woman or minority for the position. And my thought is, how insulting is that? I mean, seriously, do you want to get a job not based on merit, but because of your skin color or your gender? And yet that's what the left keeps pushing. They want to divide, and they want to say, okay, because of you're a minority, you get extra benefits. You get an extra place up. You get a job or an acceptance into college where someone who with better grades or better performance or better merit is not going to get it. But that's the world of the Democrats, and that's the message that Elizabeth Warren apparently wants to keep pushing. So, but then here's what's interesting, and I just wanted to add this little bit to her announcement because Rob Lowe made a tweet that has gotten a lot of attention. He's since deleted it. But I just want to show you the state of America and the state of the left, where I'm seriously wondering if comedians are going to be out of a job. That is, unless they only bash President Trump. But so many people are so overly sensitive that you can't say anything anymore. Here's what Lowe tweeted after Elizabeth Warren made her announcement. Elizabeth Warren would bring a whole new meaning to Commander-in-Chief, with chief in quotes. So, of course, you know, people jumped on that. Alyssa Milano, here's her tweet. Tonight, the role of Scott Baio will be played by Rob Lowe. And Mark Hamill tweeted, what a Rob Lowe. So, he took the tweet down, but he came back with a follow-up that I'd just like to read right here. He says, observation, many polarizing politicians actually like each other, privately help each other, and then publicly stir the pot, playing for votes. That's fine. Only thing wrong with it is when we buy it whole cloth, breeding intolerance, anger, and the total inability to laugh at anything. And that's the whole point. It's not being racist if you're just making a joke. They are Native American tribes, and guess what? They have chiefs. And Elizabeth Warren falsely claimed that she was of American Indian heritage. And so he made a joke that she'd be commander-in-chief. It's just a joke. It's not racist. It plays on her own stupidity and her own angle to get ahead in society by playing off, this heritage that's not even hers. The only thing that would have been better for Lowe is to accurately state that she would be 1024th commander-in-chief. But, we can't joke anymore. And I just wanted to point that out because that little line got him just a bunch of hassle and hazing, and it's just really ridiculous. The other person to announce is Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, and here's basically what she had to say. And that's it. I'm being serious because whatever. I'm not going to show a video because she brings nothing to the table. It's just the cookie cutter, same big government stuff. Her only claim to fame and the only thing that really sets her apart is apparently she's the mommy dearest of all Congress people.
What's wire hangers doing in this closet when I told you no wire hangers ever?
So yes, that's right. She has the worst turnover in Congress of any representative or senator. And all you need to do is just a quick Google search and you can see incidents of stapler throwing and lashing out at staff and unethically making them do personal chores and errands, which should be brought up against her in the Senate because those are ethics violations. But that's her claim to fame. She's the mommy dearest of the Senate of Washington, and hopefully I think Trump will have a field day with that. I can just see the stapler throwing memes, popping up everywhere.
My healthcare costs were going to double this year.
Doubled.
Doubled.
It was down to healthcare or my student loans.
I found a better way.
It's neighbors helping neighbors.
Liberty Health Share.
It's freedom from insurance.
At Liberty Health Share, we support each other and keep health costs down.
We're changing the way you're paying for health care.
This is the way it should be.
We're all in this together.
We're changing the way you pay for health care.
The movement to help each other is growing.
Liberty
Health Share. This is the way it should be.
This is how I make a difference.
Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The third-party pay system is the culprit. It's taking money out of our pockets. Liberty Health Share has solved that issue by being self-pay patients sharing our medical bills. Liberty Health Share is a grassroots movement all across America where people are abandoning the insurance model and instead are meeting each other's costs in community with one another.
It's becoming increasingly clear what Trump is planning to do on the wall. And frankly, it's following the advice that I laid out about 3 or 4 weeks ago on these videos. He's going to have his people negotiate with the Democrats, and they'll come to some kind of compromise. He'll get some money for what they'll euphemistically call border fencing, and it'll be the wall that he wants. But it won't be the full $5.7 billion, because the Democrats need to save face and not give him everything. But it's going to go ahead, it's going to pass, the government won't close down. But then what Trump is going to do, and he signaled this through a statement by his chief of staff, is that he will go to those funds that exist in the government that can be tapped without an act of Congress and without a declaration of emergency. For example, as I indicated a few weeks ago, the Defense Department statute indicates that the Secretary of Defense can allocate funding for building fencing on the border to interdict drug trafficking or organized crime. Drug smuggling routes is this phrase that's used. So what Trump is going to do is use that money for the drug smuggling routes, for sections of the wall to deal with those areas, use the other money for the rest of the fencing, and make a major dent in the fencing problem. Once he does that, it'll become very clear that illegal immigration is dropping substantially as a result of the partial wall, and he'll get the rest of the funding for it. But he won't have to shut down the government. Now, the Democrats and the liberals will, of course, sue and say that's an illegal appropriation when he uses that money, but I think it's well within the power of the commander-in-chief, and I think he should have no difficulty. Maybe there'll be a left-wing district court judge who'll sign something in California, but on appeal, I can't see anyone restricting the power of the commander-in-chief in spending money already allocated to the military and already authorized by statute.
God bless the United States of America.
All right, so now we have the big story. The big story is what's going to happen at the end of this week. We have a government shutdown looming. Trump wants his border wall. The Democrats are so far refusing to budge, and we don't know exactly where things stand. There's been rumors that some of them want to compromise, that there will be some money in this latest package, maybe up to $2 billion, which is far short of his 5.7, but it's movement somewhere. So Mick Mulvaney, the acting White House chief of staff, was on Meet the Press this weekend, and here's what he had to say.
Again, you cannot take a shutdown off the table, and you cannot take 5.7 off the table, but if you end up someplace in the middle, yeah, then what you probably see is the president say, yeah, okay, and then I'll go find the money someplace else.
So Chuck Todd, earlier in the segment, floated this idea of about $2 billion possibly being on the table, but depending on who you listen to and some of the reports that are coming out this morning, the Democrats are even taking a harder stance, wanting to defund some of what ICE can do, remove the number of detention beds that they can house these criminals that they're apprehending in this country. So we really don't know what's going to happen. Here's what Trump tweeted out as these negotiations are ongoing. He said, "It's a very bad week for the Democrats, with the great economic numbers, the Virginia disaster, and the State of the Union address. Now, with the terrible offers being made by them to the Border Committee, I actually believe they want a shutdown. They want a new subject." And I tend to agree with him. If the government shuts down again, they'll just do exactly what they were doing, talking about the 800,000 workers who are missing paychecks and ignoring the fact that all they have to do is come up with a reasonable offer to fund the border wall so we can have serious security and things will move on. Trump added this as well, which is a quote from Congressman Tom McClintock, and he went in about the powers that the president has, because if he doesn't get his full $2 billion, he could fund the rest by declaring a national emergency, which this border crisis is. And here's what McClintock pointed out that Trump tweeted. Said, "President is on sound legal ground to declare a national emergency. There have been 58 national emergencies declared since the law was enacted in 1976, and 31 right now that are currently active. So this is hardly unprecedented." So that's where things stand. I think that by Friday, there will not be a bill that has $5.7 billion. So the real question is, what is Trump going to do? Will he shut down the government, or will he take something, sign the bill, keep the government open, and fund the rest through executive authority? That's what I think is going to happen. I think if he gets $2 or $3 billion, he can say that he was willing to compromise too, but this is what we need for the actual border wall, and give the American people what they've wanted from Trump, which is the solid border security. So I'll keep you updated on that. On Wednesday's show, we'll have another update. And finally, I just want to wrap up with some of the fallout from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal announcement. You could see the backlash, you could see the reaction, and to see some of her people trying to defend what is in the resolution, and also in this frequently asked questions that I went over on Friday. It's just hilarious. And some people don't even know what's going on. Here's a clip from Tucker Carlson, who had one of Ocasio-Cortez's advisors. He's a Cornell law professor. And here's what he had to say to Tucker.
Why would we ever pay people who are, quote, unwilling to work?
We never would, right? And AOC has never said anything like that, right? I think you're referring to some sort of document that some doctored document that somebody other than us has been circulating.
So this poor guy's either lying or he has no idea what Ocasio-Cortez and her people are doing. And I actually think that's the case, because they're printing out stuff, they're taking it down, they're doing crazy stuff. She went on Twitter to try and to blame this all on Republicans, and here's what she tweeted out. It says, when your Green New Deal legislation is so strong that the GOP has to resort to circulating false versions, but the real one nets 70 House co-sponsors on day one, and all Dem presidential candidates sign on anyway. All right. She also added this little gem. She said, there are multiple doctored Green New Deal resolutions and FAQs floating around. There was also a draft version that got updated and taken down. There's also draft versions floating out there. So they never clarified. They haven't issued, proper documentation. And the only thing that they are refuting, what she's trying to do, is that because the document and the frequently asked questions, the background material, was so outrageous that some people did have fun with it. And she is trying to paint that as the doctoring of documents. Mark Dice, who's a media analyst who posts quite frequently on Twitter and on YouTube, had some fun with her frequently asked questions and the Green New Deal resolution itself. And here's one of the things that he posted. He said, one more, I couldn't help it. This is section E under some of the environmental detriments. The entire Smurfs village had to evacuate last year due to rising sea levels from global warming, putting their entire population at risk of being captured by Gargamel. And this is what she was referring to with the GOP. He's not part of the GOP circulating false documents. It's obvious that this is joking around and satire, making fun of a ridiculous document. All you have to do, there's no need to doctor the document. All you have to do is look at it and see that it's ridiculous when you're talking about farting cows and eliminating airplanes and redoing every building in the United States of America. It kind of speaks for itself, and you see the backlash. They just were not prepared for it, and it's really quite funny to blame a guy that specializes in satire, in this case, as the person behind doctoring of documents, when everyone out there read it. They read the originals. They saw how silly it was. And we'll go on to the next phase of this and see what comes out of her mouth in future days and weeks. I'm sure it's going to be great. Anyway, that's all for today, folks. Thanks for subscribing and thanks for watching the show. Please tell your friends about it. There'll be a subscribe button at the end, and you can check out previous versions of the show. Tell your friends, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
It's becoming increasingly clear what Trump is planning to do on the wall. And frankly, it's following the advice that I laid out about 3 or 4 weeks ago on these videos. He's going to have his people negotiate with the Democrats, and they'll come to some kind of compromise. He'll get some money for what they'll euphemistically call border fencing, and it'll be the wall that he wants. But it won't be the full $5.7 billion, because the Democrats need to save face and not give him everything. But it's going to go ahead. It's going to pass. The government won't close down. But then what Trump is going to do, and he signaled this through a statement by his chief of staff, is that he will go to those funds that exist in the government that can be tapped without an act of Congress and without a declaration of emergency. For example, as I indicated a few weeks ago, the Defense Department statute indicates that the Secretary of Defense can allocate funding for building fencing on the border to interdict drug trafficking or organized crime. Drug smuggling routes is this phrase that's used. So what Trump is going to do is use that money for the drug smuggling routes, for sections of the wall to deal with those areas, use the other money for the rest of the fencing, and make a major dent in the fencing problem. Once he does that, it'll become very clear that illegal immigration is dropping substantially as a result of the partial wall, and he'll get the rest of the funding for it. But he won't have to shut down the government. Now, the Democrats and the liberals will, of course, sue and say that's an illegal appropriation when he uses that money, but I think it's well within the power of the commander-in-chief, and I think he should have no difficulty. Maybe there'll be a left-wing district court judge who'll sign something in California, but on appeal, I can't see anyone restricting the power of the commander-in-chief in spending money already allocated to the military and already authorized by statute.